Hello everyone, my name is Ellen. Welcome to my channel where we get creative with everything art, design, DIY, and lifestyle related. In today's video, I will be sharing how I make gingerbread and royal icing for the gingerbread. If you're interested in doing this project, I have provided links in the description below to the websites where I found the recipes for the gingerbread and the royal icing. Well, without further ado, let's jump right on into the video. I started by mixing my spices. You will want to get 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ginger, and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. You will also need 3/4 cup unsalted butter, 3/4 cup brown sugar, and 3/4 cup molasses. Next, melt the butter over medium heat. Once your butter is melted, you can add your molasses, your brown sugar, and your spices. Stir all of your ingredients together until everything is incorporated evenly. Once you're finished, remove the mixture from the heat. Next, you'll want to get 1 teaspoon of salt, 3½ cups all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. Just a quick note, according to the recipe, the salt should have been added to the molasses mixture at the beginning. Even though I did miss this step and had to kind of rearrange things, the recipe still turned out fine and tasted delicious. Next, whisk 1 egg into your molasses mixture. Once that's finished, you can start adding flour to your molasses mixture. Keep adding the flour in parts and stir it together until everything is incorporated evenly. Once your dough is ready, you will want to spoon it onto plastic wrap and fold it into a square. The recipe says to separate it into 2 parts, but I actually ended up separating it into 3, which worked perfectly fine. Once your dough has been wrapped, put it in the fridge and let it chill for at least 1 hour. For your royal icing, you will need 2 tablespoons of meringue powder and 1/4 cup of water. I actually doubled the recipe, which is why it looks like there's more here. Next, use a kitchen mixer to blend the water and meringue powder together until a foam forms on top. Next, you'll add your vanilla and start incorporating your powdered sugar. Mix everything together and continue to add powdered sugar until you get the consistency that you want. During the process, you may find that you'll have to add a little bit of water here and there to thin the frosting. Also, the vanilla extract gives the icing a yellowish tint starting out, but as you add the powdered sugar and continue to mix, it will become a bright white color. You'll also want to mix it until soft peaks begin to form. When decorating gingerbread, I tend to do a lot of detail work, so I like to leave the frosting a little bit thicker. However, if you're planning on using this to fill cookies in, you'll want to separate it into 2 parts. One thicker for outline work and a thinner portion for filling cookies in. Generally, you leave the cookies out for a little while and the frosting will dry in a nice shell over top. That being said, make sure you store this frosting in Tupperware or covered in plastic because it will dry out if left in the open air. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. While your oven is heating up, get the chilled cookie dough out of the fridge and roll it onto a floured surface. I like to use wax paper as a base to roll it out on because I found that even with the flour, the dough will sometimes stick to my countertop or table, and the wax paper helps prevent any of this sticking from happening. I might have used a little too much flour here, but the cookies still turned out really great once they were baked. Speaking of baking the cookies, you will want to have a cookie tray with parchment paper on hand so that when you finish cutting out your cookies, you can set them on the tray. I made so much gingerbread that I actually had 3 trays ready to go because I knew I wouldn't be able to keep up with the large amount of cookies. Bake the cookies for 8 to 9 minutes until they are golden brown. It is best to cook them 1 batch at a time. Also, check it out. I'm making my first gingerbread house from scratch. Yeah, I'm excited. For this next step, you will want to grab your royal icing, a frosting bag, and a plain round decorator's tip. I usually use this nifty little device to frost cookies because it's a lot easier to clean and less wasteful than using disposable frosting bags. I started by making windows for my gingerbread house. I used a heart-shaped cookie cutter to cut the windows, so I traced that shape onto wax paper and flipped the paper over so as not to get any ink in the frosting. Leave the shapes out for a couple of hours and they will dry completely. Then you can peel them off the wax paper and attach them to the house. It's best to decorate the outside walls of your gingerbread house before putting everything together. Just make sure that the frosting has dried thoroughly before picking up any of the pieces. This is especially important when attaching the windows because if the frosting hasn't dried completely, these will crumble. Standalone frosting shapes are very delicate. Making a gingerbread house takes quite a bit of patience because you have to wait for the detail work on the outside walls to dry thoroughly before assembling everything, and I'm not the most patient person. There were a couple times I picked up the walls before I should have and messed up the frosting. I went back and fixed everything and it looked fine, but I could have saved myself the trouble if I had just waited. Next, you can attach the walls. Just make sure that the frosting on the inside edges dries completely before attaching the roof. The weight of the roof will push the walls apart if the frosting is still wet. While waiting for the house to dry, I passed the time by decorating the dozens and dozens of other gingerbread cookies that I had just made. Well, there you have it. Gingerbread is definitely more time consuming to make, but it's a lot of fun. And when I'm feeling festive, it's usually the first recipe I reach for. It's kind of become a holiday tradition in my household. Also, if you have any really cool gingerbread making ideas, please add them in the comments below. I would love to hear them. Well, thanks for watching. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Also, hit the notification bell button for weekly DIY and lifestyle videos. I'm currently in the process of planning my fall 2021 wedding, and a lot of my DIY videos will pertain to my wedding planning process. And I would love for you all to join me on my DIY wedding planning adventure. I'm actually thinking about adding the gingerbread to the wedding dessert table menu. I know it's technically a Christmas cookie, but I love gingerbread and it's my wedding, so I'm gonna do what I want. Hashtag I do what I want. Well, thanks for watching. Until the next video, I am out. Bye.